On Wednesday, February 9th, 2022, during the Walt Disney Company quarterly earnings call, Disney CEO Bob Chapek alluded to some changes that would be coming forward to Disney Plus in the coming months. Not only with new programming and new content coming in, both old and new, but seemingly a tonal shift that would be ahead, as Bob Chapek alluded to some rather surprising statistics that we discussed in the video we dropped Friday regarding that earnings call, where I had a conversation with Cameron Pasha. Stick around, we're going to get into some of this news about what's going on with these former Netflix Marvel shows like Daredevil, and coming up here with Moonknight. There's a lot that's going to change, as it looks like, on Disney Plus soon to come. Stay tuned, let's get into it. Online. Well, welcome back. Another great day here at Valiant Renegade. Good Sunday morning to everybody. It is Saturday afternoon as I'm recording this, so hopefully this news might catch you fresh on a Sunday morning, something that should be of interest to you and everybody out there that's been discussing what is going to go on with Disney Plus as time goes on. I'm going to share some of my thoughts with you today based on some of the comments that was made again by Bob Chapek during the earnings call just a couple of days ago on Wednesday, February 9th. Some of these news articles that we've had come out since that happened, which is, of course, as we always say, there's rarely a coincidence when news drops, especially when it comes to Disney at a time like this. But before we get into it, I want to thank everybody for being here. We are approaching 6,000 subscribers right now, just a little over a year old on this channel. I cannot thank everybody out there enough for watching. The compliments I've been getting on this channel. Everybody seems to really enjoy the content. So please, if you are like one of the 60 or 70% of folks watching this video now that are not yet subscribed, please hit that little subscribe button right down there. It's asking you to do it. I know you want to do it. We appreciate it if you do it. It's a big help to the channel, as is hitting that like button, hitting that share button, hitting that notification bell, and especially please do leave a comment before you head out the door today. So let's start with this article from Deadline magazine on February 11th, just Friday, just a couple of days ago as you're watching this video. This was about the Disney plans to bring the Netflix Marvel Universe home to Disney, more specifically to Disney Plus, as I suspect. There has been some discussion on whether this would land on something like a Hulu or FX or something like that. I highly doubt it. And I want to talk a little bit about why. So let's back up a few days before that. On the earnings call, on the Wednesday earnings call, during Bob Chapek's discussion and then his comments during the Q&A session following the report, Bob Chapek alluded to a very surprising statistic that I discussed in the Friday morning video that we released, Cameron Pasha and myself, where Bob Chapek reported that roughly 50% of all Disney Plus subscribers are accounts and families and households that have no children. That was a number that was far higher than what I expected. I had always imagined maybe 30, as high as 40% would fall into that category with the younger millennial generation, things like that, the 20s and 30-somethings whose families had not started yet. But no, it's up at 50%. That's a big sign to tell us as consumers where Disney Plus may be going down the road as they come to recognize what their core audience is. It's fairly evenly split between younger adults and children, or older adults with children. So there's two very different demographics going on there. So they're going to probably start providing programming and content that's going to satiate both. Think about real quick, for those of you that are on YouTube frequently or that have Netflix accounts, if you have children like I do, you'll notice that when you sign up a child for an account on Netflix or through YouTube, not that they have their own account per se, but they have like different profiles inside of Netflix that you can set up for multiple users in your household. When you set up one for a child, it usually gives you an option to use like Netflix Kids or YouTube Kids. You'll see that a lot if you have children, and that way what they do is they filter out the older, more adult-oriented content that is available on their service, leaving just the kids stuff for the kids' profile login. It's actually a great way to do it so you can have one account that suits both the adults and kids in the same household. I fully expect to see Disney Plus eventually maneuver their way down this road as they build more robust adult-oriented content that we see on the stream. A lot of us had complained recently about the Book of Boba Fett being kind of kiddie, kind of candy cane, and just a little too simplistic in terms of the way that some things were presented. Of course, there was the exception of Episode 5, where we got Din Djarin come back in with the Darksaber and basically slice people in half right in front of the screen. And the other episodes seemed much more mundane by comparison to what we got in that episode. I think Disney is going to continue to move down that road of being honest, quote unquote, with their storytelling as the story necessitates or dictates. Moonknight looks to be one of those. We'll get to that story in a minute. But let's talk about this article from Deadline. Netflix's Marvel series are coming home. Social media has been abuzz this morning about a notification added to the 6 Defenders universe shows that they would only be available on Netflix until March 1st. And indeed, also on that earnings call, there was a report from the chief financial officer during that call. She was giving forward guidance into the second and third quarters of fiscal year 2022 for the Walt Disney Company, suggesting that they expected the television licensing and distribution revenues, the operating income, to decrease in the next couple of quarters. And the reason for that was essentially is that they were going to allow several third-party licenses for Disney-owned content to expire so that they could bring those shows home, basically to Disney Plus, from what we can tell. Some of the shows that were specifically mentioned during that call, as I talked about in the previous video on the earnings call with Cameron Pasha, was Grownish, Blackish, and The Wonder Years. Additional episodes for those shows would be coming in to the Disney fold. So as they let more of these licenses expire, less money coming in from the outside, more content building up on Disney Plus, trying to hold, retain, and also to increase the number of subscribers they have on Disney Plus. Back to the article. Sources confirmed to Deadline that Netflix's license for Marvel's Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, The Punisher, Iron Fist, and The Defenders Team-Up Limited series is ending, and the rights to the shows are reverting to Disney. The company is keeping mum about its distribution plans for the suite of series. They are expected to be announced, or to the show's new streaming home soon. Made for Disney by Netflix in a different era of the streaming age, under a different regime at the now defunct Marvel Television, the series are not a slam dunk for flagship Disney Plus because of mature content, especially in Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. Still, Disney Plus feels like the best fit, being the designated Marvel streaming home, and the platform's recent Marvel series Hawkeye even featured a villain from the Defenders universe, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin. So here's the thing, is that I kind of always expected this to happen at some point, and it looks like it's happening this year. And I want to go into this next section here. The more adult-focused Hulu, which is controlled by Disney, does have 2 original Marvel series, both adult animation and sold by Marvel TV before it disbanded. There had been no expectations that new Marvel content from the studio run by Kevin Feige would find its way to Hulu. With the company's TV pipeline going straight to Disney Plus, where Marvel is one of the marquee brands with its own section, it's unclear whether any of the Netflix series would undergo any editing or add content warnings should they go to Disney Plus. And this has been a great deal of speculation I've seen from several of my friends on YouTube, and I think the speculation is worth having a discussion about because it certainly is something that you would expect from Disney Plus to do with these shows. However, at this point, I don't think they will. I think that's off the table. While I do think they will be rated TVMA, or there will be warning content, or like I said, we will start seeing 2 levels with inside Disney Plus, one that you can log into as a parent or an adult, and then one that you can set up for your children that would perhaps exclude some shows like this, and Moonknight, which we're about to get to. There's also the speculation, back to the article, that Disney may be exploring broadening the type of content on Disney Plus beyond family fare in order to maintain sub growth. The Netflix transplants would fit into this strategy. Again, exactly what I was saying after the earnings call. Bob Chapek basically said as much in so many words. If you learn to read between the lines, they have recognized who their audience is on Disney Plus. Half of their subscribers, again, are households with no children, which means these people are looking for more adult or mature-oriented content. And to confirm that today on Saturday, as I'm recording this, Moonknight, will ramp up the boundaries of brutality, Kevin Feige promises. Now, let's talk about this, because if you haven't seen the trailer for Moonknight yet, I suggest you go check it out. It looks amazing. It stars Oscar Isaac as the titular character. I'm a big Oscar Isaac fan, so I'm really looking forward to what he does with this, especially after I enjoyed his performance so much as Duke Leto Atreides in the new Denis Villeneuve's Dune that we just had this past year, and I'm very much looking forward to part 2 that Denis is hopefully starting production on right now. But in the article from Deadline, fueling speculation that Disney Plus may be mulling a content expansion beyond family fare, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has acknowledged that the forthcoming series featuring Moon Knight has a harder edge, coming out on March 30th. Quote, "He is brutal," Kevin Feige tells the online magazine Empire. Quote, "It's been fun to work with Disney Plus and see the boundaries shifting on what we're able to do. There are moments in the series when Moon Knight is wailing on another character. It's loud. It's brutal. The knee-jerk reaction is, we're going to pull back on this, right? No, we're not pulling back on this. There is a tonal shift. This is a different thing. This is Moon Knight." Now, again, strong words right there from Kevin Feige. And I know we've had our conversations about Mr. Feige in the past, have lamented some of the directions that Phase 4 of the MCU seems to be going. I understand that. I'm going to separate that for now because that is a topic for a different conversation. I want to focus in on this as it relates to Disney Plus and some of the speculation happening there. This seems to confirm my initial thoughts, my initial reaction to what Bob Chapek said on the call just 2 days before this article dropped, just 1 day before the news dropped about the Marvel characters like Daredevil, the entire Netflix series that Marvel made for them, coming home to Disney Plus. I don't think they're going to change a lick of what is in this. I think there will be content warnings. I think, again, we may see a segregated section on Disney Plus for that. That's all fine and good. Make something for everybody to enjoy, depending on their age, their tastes in programming. That's what a good programmer should do. But this confirmation from this article about Moon Knight, what Kevin Feige is saying, seems to put everything into focus. There's a lot more that's coming to Disney Plus. They seem to have recognized where they're going. And again, the shift in tone of what kind of programming they're going to put out, we're starting to get a sharper and sharper image on this as it seems. So, would love to hear your thoughts on this. Once again, please hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell, share this sucker out on the social medias. Do leave a comment before you head out the door today, because I want to know what you guys think about all this. And I appreciate you being here, because this is where we put Hollywood through the business and financial lens of reality. And this is why, because it's the money and the finance, it's the business decisions that eventually trickle down into what we're seeing here when it gets reported by Hollywood trade magazines. It all starts with the money, folks. It all starts with where they can go to get the biggest audience they can. Hopefully this continues not only here, but in other areas we've discussed that I think Disney needs to address as well. Time will tell. Until next time, take care.